When you can be assertive, you can be your authentic self. And people want your authentic self. They don't want fake humans, right? Like nothing
Right.
is more annoying than a fake friend. Yuck. Today, it's your birthday. Not sure what that means? Let us introduce you to this powerful concept and our community. We are Helene and Christina, and our mission is to empower, teach, and remind women to celebrate themselves. Combined, we have over 35 years' experience as therapists in private practice. But today, we come to you not as your therapist, but rather two women in this life stage with you, your friends. Our podcast promises to talk about the hard or uncomfortable topics in a way to empower you, laugh along the way as part of our healing, and find joy. What sets us apart? We leave you with gifts each and every episode.
Now that we're friends, let's make this official. We would love to help start your Thursday mornings, so make sure you follow the show wherever you listen and sign up for our free newsletter at yourbirthdaypodcast.com to receive the episode in your inbox weekly. Friends, this is a hell yes. Raise the volume, put on repeat episode. Learning and being assertive helps with so many of our past episodes. Ones like limiting your invites, the gifts of knowing your sexual needs, and more. Assertiveness often is misunderstood as a topic, but when we understand it and we embrace it, it is absolutely life changing. Let me give you an idea. Have you ever said yes when your insides were screaming no? Or maybe you stayed quiet when something inside of you wanted you to speak up. Or on the other hand, you may have once blurted out your opinion and then you were wondering, did I come across too harsh? Don't worry, friends. We have all been there. When I think of assertiveness, I actually think of this example. I had a woman that I had the absolute pleasure working with probably over 2 decades ago. And the majority of her life up until then was lived in a very passive way. So, going back to what we just said, she lived her life being pretty small. She would, quote, muzzle herself, as I would call it. She knew what she wanted to say, but she would bite her tongue till it bled. Now, again, I would say this probably wasn't like who she is, but due to things within her home and different experiences in her life up until then, she just found it safer to be quiet. But
Mm.
something was rumbling inside of her that wasn't working anymore, right? AKA our messy middle. So we worked on challenging those beliefs. We taught some new skills. And she's like, I got this. I'm going to go do my live my best life. Let me practice. I'll come back if I need to. So she comes back a couple years later and she's like, Helene, she's like, you know the thing that I've been working on? Like using my voice, speaking up when I want to? I'm like, yes. I'm like, I was super proud of you. You nailed it. She goes, well, now we got to talk again. I'm like, what brings you in? She's like, now I say fuck all the time. And she's like, I'm really strong. And she's like, I'm like screaming at everyone. So I think I went from being really quiet to like now screaming on the rooftop that it's almost disrespectful. So I'm like, oh, lived your first life being passive. Now I think you've gone too aggressive and we have to become BFF with assertiveness. So
Oh
that
my
little
God. I
story.
love the fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
My
She's like,
favorite word.
I'm about to like put it on as like a tattoo. So I think today's episode truly is a gift. We're going to dive into what assertiveness is, what it is not, and we're going to
Mhm.
chat about how it can transform your relationships, increase your confidence, and it even provides you with peace of mind. So raise the volume, get ready to text your friends and share this episode, and let's get started really by exploring a little bit more from that story I just shared with you about what assertiveness means and why it matters.
Oh my
You
gosh,
ready?
this is huge. And I love this episode because I now live in the most passive aggressive state, I think, in our country. Like Minnesotans are so fucking passive aggressive. Direct communication is like a social faux pas here.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
all
it
right.
is like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, like nobody wants to offend anybody. And when you're making plans, it is so hard because everybody's afraid to like give their opinion. And so there's like this game of like, well, what do you want to do? Well, what do you want to do? And I get like so angry because I don't have time for this back and forth shit. Like I'm like, dude, we just got to fucking decide, okay?
And make a decision. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it has been really, really hard for Ethan because Ethan grew up with a dad who grew up on Long Island and a mom who grew up in Philadelphia. So they've got like this East Coast directness that he learned.
Yep.
And he also doesn't think before he speaks. And so, like, Ethan regularly offends people in this town.
Not intentionally, of course, but
No, 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 no. That's
no,
never his intention. And then he's like,
absolutely.
oh, I think I'm not Minnesota enough. That's what he'll say. He's like, oh, I think I did something not Minnesota enough. And I was like, yep, you did.
What a good frame. And I mean, really, when you think about it, right? Like assertiveness really is the ability
To
to simply
use your
express your
voice.
feelings, right? Your thoughts and your
It
needs
is
openly.
so unhealthy. It is so unhealthy. And I see so much in divorce when one person comes to the other and says, I want a divorce, there is genuine shock because nobody fucking communicated. Like, we didn't
Right,
tell each other. We didn't say, like, I'm not okay with this, or this makes me unhappy, or I really like this, or this is good. We
right,
just sucked it up, sucked it up, sucked it up, cheated, and now we've got to end it. Like,
right.
that's the way it is here. And it's so gross. So I always warn patients, like, when I start meeting with patients, I'm like, look, I am not Minnesota. I'm really direct.
Here's
And
your
I'm,
disclaimer.
yeah, and I'm not everybody's cup of chowder.
Yeah,
So if you are wanting somebody to like passively, kindly beat around the bush, I will happily refer you because I want you to have the right person for you,
right,
but it's not me. And I think it's for
right.
me, like I was probably not an assertive therapist until I started doing forensic work. And
Mm,
now my reports are really blunt.
right.
And I'm really blunt
Yeah.
because I
And
have
it,
to be. Like
right,
people are paying me
especially,
for my expert opinion to say
right?
what you need to be able to move on, find closure, hopefully raise kids well.
Absolutely.
And it's expensive. These evaluations are expensive. And
Mhm.
so I don't think you're paying for somebody to be like, well, you could choose option A, B, C, or D. No.
Right,
So I've learned assertiveness. And then my
right.
other big moment of learning assertiveness was during COVID.
Mm,
And a couple of my girlfriends and I would do driveway late night hour instead of happy hour because we wait till we put our kids to bed.
right.
And then we'd walk over or drive over, depending on whose house it was at. And
Sure.
we'd literally sit in a driveway with our separation, with our wine.
Mm-hmm.
No lie, we peed in the yard because we couldn't go into each other's houses. And those chats were like saving grace for me because they taught me how they were assertive and I
Mm.
learned to have a bolder voice.
Wow. And I think the beautiful thing about that, and then the story of the woman I talked about, is that I think it will really help. Let's go through really, here's a way that the audience can think about it. Passive communication simply says, your needs matter more than mine.
Yeah.
Aggressive communication says, my needs matter more than yours. And then assertive communication, that really beautiful spot in between, says both of our needs matter and I'm going to express mine with respect and honesty. It's really a balance. When you find it, it is so powerful and it's respecting yourself. You're not yelling at others and you're not muzzling yourself.
Helene, say assertive communication again because that is a huge gift to our audience and it literally sets the precedent for everything we're going to talk about. So I really want you to hear this, friends. Like, think bold print, font size 100. This is big.
So assertive communication says both of our needs matter, and I am going to express mine with respect and honesty. It is a
Mhm.
balance. And when you find it within yourself, it is very powerful, not only to you, but also to who you express it to. And I think that's what we're going to get into
Mhm.
now, a little bit about why assertiveness truly is an amazing gift to you and to the people or the person in front of you.
Mhm. Yeah. It is. I think you create a confidence and a calmness. I think it actually brings peace to your life because people aren't walking on eggshells around you. Like they know your wants and needs and they respect you.
Right. I mean, think about like whether you celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas or Kwanzaa, like you're going to get all the gifts. We're going to break down some really big, powerful ones. One of the first gifts that you receive with assertiveness is clarity. So we're going to go back a little bit to what Christina was just talking about. When you're assertive, there's no more confusion or second guessing. You know what you want, and you give others a gift of knowing where you stand. So for some people, it might mean you have to take that moment, right? Christina and I are huge about the power of pause within yourself to get in attention, to get clarity. What is it that I want? You are trusting and respecting yourself to identify it, to name
Mhm.
it, and then you share it with others. So that's an amazing gift.
It
Another gift
is. I
is
think,
respect.
yeah, no, I think it's being bold in your communication and
Mm.
respecting the other person and yourself equally. And I love how you just said that. Oh, there's so many good gifts in this episode.
I know this one is absolutely like, yeah, yeah. And with respect, I love what you just said. It provides respect in two directions. You respect yourself by speaking your truth, and the hope is that others will respect you because you made them aware. You have essentially taught them your boundaries. Think about what Christina just said. If she went to dinner with a whole bunch of friends, and in true Minnesota fashion, as Christina taught us, is kind of the norm there. When they all took out their phones thinking about when are we going to do our next one? Well, what do you want, Susie Q? Well, I don't know. Well, Jill, what does yours look like? Well, Jennifer, what? And Christina's like, this is what I can do. I'm available next month on Tuesday or Thursday. Do one of those work for you guys? So again, she
Mhm.
can get in clarity with what she wants. She's expressing her availability. And then
Mhm.
the rest of the people at that table can either say, yes, that works for me, or it doesn't. But she's saying, this is when I can show up. This is when I can enjoy another dinner. So you get respect that you're giving yourself, and hopefully you're having healthy people around you that will respect your boundaries.
Yeah. And I love the other part of this, which is authenticity. And we just
Mhm.
spent 2 episodes talking about the masking that comes commonly with like neurodivergence of primarily ADHD, we talked about, but it also shows up in autism and other neurodivergent diagnoses. But when you can be assertive, you can be your authentic self, and people want your authentic self. They don't want fake humans, right? Like nothing
Right.
is more annoying than a fake friend, than a
Yes.
friend that you don't know who they are. Yuck. Like this is
Mhm.
all about being authentically you, and I've kind of said that I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan. Sorry, audience, don't hate me, but she's not my jam. But one of the things that I do respect about her is she really tries to be authentic to the
Mhm.
best of her abilities, which I think is really hard when you are in that intense of a role and a
Right.
role model, is that sometimes like her authentic self isn't pretty and beautiful and perfect, and
Right.
she's real about it. I was recently reading in the news that at the tennis, what was it, the tennis open or something, that
Hmm.
Polish exec that took the hat from the kid.
Oh, yes.
And then did you see what his press release was? He was such an asshole. I'm sorry. But that was aggressive communication. Like even
Mhm.
his press release was aggressive communication. If I was his HR or his marketing, I would be like, "No, reframe, no way." But now you get to see his authentic self. And
Right.
I think when I go back to your client, she was, she
Mhm.
had spent all those years suppressing shit that when
Right.
she opened the floodgates, literally it was the flood of the century.
Right.
And she was authentic to the end. And so I think there's a balance between being your true self, but
Yep.
you can do it in a kind and respectful way.
Right. We often
You
say
don't have
it's
to be
not
an
what you're
asshole about it.
right. It's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. And if how you're
100%.
saying it wants to be respectful and kind and get heard, it's really like how you are saying it, that assertiveness, it's kind of the brand of who you are as a human. And the more you show up saying it increases your confidence. So every time you speak up for
Mhm.
yourself, you are reinforcing your self worth. So that's why assertiveness is so many gifts that you're really giving to yourself. So every time you speak up, you reinforce to yourself. You are building that muscle memory. It is like
Mhm.
reps. Like Jamie, you're going to be proud of us. Like we're talking about strength training for your
Yeah.
self worth. You're increasing your reps and increasing what you believe in about yourself every time you show up with assertiveness.
It's communication strength training.
Oh, I love that term. Ooh, love that.
Yeah. That, I mean, that's essentially what we're doing, communication strength training.
Mm.
And I find when I am assertive, I actually ease the anxiety of the room. I create a safe space for other people to be their authentic selves
Right.
and to communicate directly with me. And you don't need to be mean about it. You don't need to be
Oh,
rude or disrespectful, but you can be direct in your communication. And that's huge. And I found myself like, I have a person in my life who's very difficult for me to communicate with. Like, I have a very hard time with this human.
yep.
And I found I was trying to be overly respectful because they were older than me.
Mm,
And then I would shut down and get super upset because they wouldn't respect me.
right.
And then I figured out, I was like, no, you've got to be assertive. Like, you've got to say what you need and want. Who gives a shit if they don't like it? Too bad.
Right.
And when you can learn to do that, they're going to either respect you or walk away. It's not somebody you really want in your life anyway. So what does it matter?
Hmm.
What do you have to lose? And then I realized nothing. And when I learned to be assertive and direct and not try to constantly treat them like their needs mattered more than mine,
Right.
it was game changer.
It is. And then there's even times that, maybe I'll be role playing in session or with someone, like how we want to say something in hopes that the other person doesn't have their own big feelings. And
Mm-hmm.
after we'll go through the loop ritual, I'm like, wait a minute. We keep trying to orchestrate the absolute best like sentence or message to prevent something, which actually a future episode, we're going to talk about the gift of staying present. And I'll come
Mm-hmm.
back to if we just simply say how you're feeling, what your thoughts are
Mm-hmm.
with respect and in an assertive fashion, and you can let that go. They get to have their own feeling, their own
Yeah.
thoughts, their own experience with what you said. You can only show up how you're going to show up as your true, authentic self on your side of the street. So you have to get in tension with that. Like you said, I was really like kind of pussyfooting. Like, what am I going to say to this other person? But when I wrote down all those barriers and I got in connection with Christina and how I wanted to be, I can be how I needed to be, and I can let them be who they're going to be, and that may
Mm-hmm.
have nothing to do with me, and most of the time, like we keep telling you guys, it doesn't.
And I think that's something actually we are really good about in our business relationship. Now, it's taken some time for us to like evolve and navigate and learn each
Right.
other
Yep.
to be I would say, more clear in our
Yep.
communication, and also like learning about ourselves and what we need in this, because this is our first time having a business relationship with a partner. Like
Right.
Helene and I both have businesses that we're flying solo. So, like, literally, the board meetings are ourselves in a mirror,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
now the meetings are you and I together having to go, this is okay, this is not okay, and learning how to have that respectful communication.
Right.
I remember like very early on, I was like getting frustrated over the time differences and how to communicate that.
Yep.
And I came to Helene and I said, this is really hard for me. But I said, here's what I need. And you responded like you saw the mutual respect and you responded like respectfully back, like, I hear you. How can I support you in that? How can I help you with that? And we like came up with a good plan and it's worked great ever since. But if
Right.
I hadn't communicated, if I'd been passive aggressive and said, Helene's needs are better than mine, or I'd been aggressive and said, look, you must do everything in central time. That's it. You
Right.
know, it wouldn't have worked.
No.
Instead, I said, I'm struggling with the math of the time differences. And you said, "Oh, I hear you. Okay, like let's figure this out together." And we did, and it's simple solution. We literally give everything to each other in both time frames.
Yep.
That's what we do. And it's so simple because it's literally plus or minus an hour depending on where you are.
Which takes me a little while to remember all the time. But if Christina did not have that respect within herself,
Yeah, if
have
I didn't have
trust
enough
within the
confidence.
relationship, we wouldn't have done it. And that's so the greatest gift that comes from assertiveness truly is freedom. And this is a favorite gift of ours here, friends. Being assertive leads to breaking up with people
Mhm.
pleasing and
Yes.
standing by your truth. You're no longer trapped by guilt or resentments. Like Christina, trusting the process and recognizing what she needed, invited me to hear her. There was no guilt, there was no resentment. It was just a healthy communication because she took the time to figure out how she wanted to say it and trusting the process. And like she just shared with you, since that conversation, it's probably been like 11 months since, and it's worked well. And I trust that if I screw up, she'll gently point it out to me and say, hey, can we go back to what we said we were doing? Because we already had the one conversation and it worked well.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think it's created a healthier relationship, business relationship for us.
Absolutely.
And I find in my own relationships when I've become more clear and honest with people, A, I'm a calmer human, I'm a confident human, I feel safe, and I then mirror that back to them, and they then feel the same way. So when you feel like that codependency or people pleasing is benefiting, I'm here to call liar on that because
Mm,
it doesn't. It creates a really unhealthy dynamic and really, excuse my French, fucks up communication. Like you
right.
cannot be a healthy partner in a relationship by people pleasing.
And the truth is, no one, I'm careful with saying because that's a really bold thing. Most people cannot give or do what you want unless you let them know. So, friends, if you're one of those people who's like, well, I've been my partner for like 15, 20 years, they should just know. Or I just dropped my student off at college and they're struggling because they really feel like their roommate just knows that they should be doing this. They're not going to know. They
Mhm.
also may be in a relationship with you, but they also have 10,000 things going in their brain. So if you want something from someone, you have to be assertive and say it to them. And it might have to
Yeah.
be each and every time. And the gift in that is that you are sharing what you need with the hope that they will respect and hear your boundary. And together you'll either come up with a solution or they'll either be like, okay, I got the memo. This is what you need from me. When I come in
Mhm.
at night, you want me not to turn on the light because I don't know if you're sleeping. Yes, that's what I need from you. So being assertive means you're inviting people in hopes that they would now have a better understanding of what you're wanting. And I think it sounds
Yeah.
great, but there's a ton of myths about assertiveness. I think Christina's going to walk us through some of those.
Well, and I think like when we think of being assertive, we think we can only be assertive on big issues.
Mhm.
And again, I'm here to call bullshit on that. because if you can't be assertive on little things like a time difference, like a light at night, then you're not going to have the skills to be assertive on the big issues either.
Right.
And sometimes just solving the little issues means you don't have a big issue.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's communication 101. It's strength training. So when you do the little things, you're building up the confidence that you can even bring up the bigger things should they arise.
Right. Right. I think, here in Minnesota, the belief of being assertive is equivalent to being rude.
Oh,
And that one just makes my blood boil because assertiveness is not rude. I actually think being passive aggressive or being avoidant in your communication is rude. I
yes.
think it's extremely rude. So I think when you are assertive, you are actually respectful in your communication because you care enough about yourself and you care enough about the other person, on the other side of the conversation
Right.
to express yourself in a kind, respectful way and to allow them the ability to express themselves.
Right. It's like that open platform
Mhm.
for space to talk. And I think another one is that like often, the F word comes in, not fuck, guys, fear. Like people get fearful if I say no, they will
Mhm.
not like me. Like so often, people will put those two different ideas, like kissing cousins. If I say no, people not like me. But the truth is that healthy people respect boundaries.
Yeah.
And you show up being healthy because you're respecting yourself.
Yep. And here's what I would say if somebody doesn't like you because of your no, then it's not a healthy person to be in your life.
Say that again. That is mic drop gift right there, Christina. Thank you.
If somebody doesn't like you for saying no, then they're not a healthy person to be in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to find out if somebody has a personality disorder and you're dating, say no and see how they respond.
Mm.
That will literally set the precedent of how they respond throughout the rest of your relationship.
Right.
See
Right.
how they handle your no. Are
Right.
they respectful? Are they willing to have a dialogue with you? Do they just accept your no and, sheepishly walk away? What
Right.
do they do with a no?
And I'm going to give the caveat if they struggle with the no, and if it is someone with a personality disorder, which this isn't about, but we're going to sprinkle in some other things. Again, if you said your no, not in an aggressive way, in an assertive, healthy way, and they become like unhinged, dysregulated,
Mm.
aggressive, again, it's not about you. You just bumped into their unhealthy shit,
Yeah, that they need to heal before they can have a healthy relationship.
right? With themselves and then with anyone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you're struggling with this one, go back to our episode on the gift of no, because it is powerful.
Ooh, I like that
It
one.
is powerful. Yeah. And I think too, a lot of people also believe that you are either born assertive or you're not. Like it's innate, it's
Mhm.
biological. Not everybody is meant to be assertive. And I don't believe that at all. I think assertiveness is a learned skill, it evolves over time. I do think that we learn assertiveness initially in childhood, and it's
Mhm.
kind of between that parent child relationship, child sibling relationship, and if you didn't have a parent raising you, your parental figure, we'll call it. But it's true. Like, how were you respected when you made your wants and needs known? Were you respected? Were you dismissed? Was it a shitstorm? What happened when you expressed yourself? Or were you told you're too loud, you're too bold, you're too this? And so, how do we make that known?
Right. And if you grew up in that family where it was not, when you voiced yourself and it wasn't healthy, and you can reflect back on someone positive in early childhood who modeled it, you can allow yourself to say, well, who do I know? Maybe like either an actor, an actor, an actress, or maybe like a character in a book. Like if you were to think of someone who is assertive, what comes to your mind. How do they stand? How do they express their voice? So you can kind of create that person or think of someone who you do say like, wow, when I saw that in that person, it did feel very like authentic, confident, things like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, I look back how many kids like communicated for their parents or how many kids didn't see their parents communicate, right? Like we grew up
Right.
primarily in a generation that if parents argued or had discussions, they closed the door to their bedroom and did it. So
Right.
kids didn't learn how to communicate. They didn't learn how to solve disagreements.
True. Very true. If you grew up like in the 80s or even early 90s, you may have grown up with that belief system. And then you also, on top of that, had like children should be seen and not heard. So if you
Right.
struggled with assertiveness and you were more like that woman I talked about earlier who lived life small and more passive, like again, it may have been modeled and kind of a description given to you, but when you're in the messy middle, you get to say to yourself, "That's not working, and I
Right.
wanna learn how to do it differently." And that's why this is a repeat episode.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, Helene and I aren't even perfect at it. We learn, we're trying to do it better every day.
Yeah.
I definitely think having therapy suites and like this determination to model how mental health practitioners interact with each other differently has forced me to like really become more assertive in my work
Mhm.
with colleagues and then model that better of like, say your needs, let's communicate about it, let's talk through it
Right.
and create that open dialogue because I want people to learn. That's so important that we learn this skill. This is the gold standard of communication. If you can learn how to be a healthy, assertive person, the world is your oyster.
Right, the trickle effect, as we always talk about, it can help at
Mhm.
work, it can help in your relationship with your children, with you and your partner. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like we need to give them some, like, I don't know, practical ways to start building assertiveness. So if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, I might be on one spectrum of being passive, or like, oh golly, I might be on the other one of being aggressive. Let's give you a couple of practical ways to start building assertiveness. Because again, this is strength training to assertive
Mhm.
communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest ones, and this is like marriage therapy 101,
Yes.
is using I statements rather than you statements.
Yes.
And by that, I mean, I need, I want, I like, instead of you do this, you say this, you this. The
Right.
second you say you to somebody,
Mhm.
your receiver red flags go up of like, I'm a problem, I'm a problem. And either your receiver will shut down
Right.
or they get into fight mode, which is how can I defend myself?
Yes.
And so when we can use I statements, then we leave the person on the other side, hopefully not feeling defensive,
Mhm.
and we're able to communicate our needs and wants.
Right. It's as simple as saying, when you just said that to me, I felt really disrespected. What I need for you is to say it, blah, 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 versus you were incredibly disrespectful in that last sentence you just said to me. I need you to say it differently. So one is like pushing away. The
Mhm.
first one is pushing towards, right? You're inviting communication, connection. The other leads to other people feeling pushed away, as Christina said. You'll typically see like their arms crossed, they're going to get defensive, they may start explaining or justifying. Like there is distancing. But the other one is just when you say I, overall, most people want to be helpers. So when you
Mhm.
invite them by saying what you need with the I statement, it helps and invites them to have more connection with you. So yes.
Yeah. I think learning how to say no and practice saying no.
Mhm.
That's a huge one.
Yeah. Anything?
No is a complete sentence.
Oh, I love that. Say that again. I just jumped on you.
No, no is a complete sentence. It is a full sentence.
Yeah. When you are practicing assertiveness, you often will have like open body language, right? So your arms aren't
Mhm.
crossed, not on your hips. You're available, but you might stand up or you might sit up very tall, looking directly at the person. So there's available to receive, but there's also openness to give. So those are some things that you might want to be mindful of yourself when delivering so that your nonverbals match the assertiveness and the respect that you're saying with your verbals. And I think Christina and I, like, if hearing this, if you're like, oof, this could be hard, you can start small. Like, I'll often tell people, if you're practicing assertiveness, one of the simplest and maybe the silliest things to do is that if historically you would not return a meal at a restaurant that was not cooked the way you wanted, send it back. Like, everyone who's like one of my people, and we go, like, it could be difficult for some people to say, my steak is actually cooked too rare. I wanted it medium, or return something to Target. Like, this was not the item that I asked for. I want to return it. You don't have to explain it. You're just saying what you need and doing that. But okay,
I'm laughing because I had that moment this weekend. We went to a really nice restaurant. We were up at the
right.
cabin,
Yep.
and Svea has gotten really into like sharing a meal with me.
I love that.
So, and I picked a really nice meal because it's our son's birthday this weekend. So we were celebrating big.
Yeah.
And Svea and I had steak and lobster tail. And when the lobster tail came, it was so overcooked, I couldn't even get it out of the shell. And I
Right.
was like, ugh. And I was frustrated because that was like, I will have like a bite or two of steak. She pretty much eats the steak. And then the lobster tail is mine.
Mhm.
And she'll like taste a piece of lobster because I make her.
Right.
So anyway, I totally was like, ugh. And Ethan was like, say something. And everybody at this table was like, say something. And I felt bad because the
Mhm.
waiter was so sweet and he was so overwhelmed. And like the passive in me was like, oh, it's okay. I'll figure it out. I'll get it out of the shell if I have a little crunchy lobster. And then he sensed that I wasn't doing well with
Right.
it. And he brought the manager over and like I said it in a respectful way. I said, look, I said, I can't even get it out of the shell. I'm like, if somebody's able to take it back to the kitchen, they can get it out of the shell, that would be helpful. And she took one look at it. She goes, I'm not even attempting it. She goes, pick something else on the menu you'd like. And I was like, honestly, the steak was big enough for both of us. We're good to go. I'm golden. Bring me some more mashed potatoes because those were freaking amazing. And she's like, okay. And then when we got the bill, they had comped that entire meal,
Right.
which I think is the proper thing to do. And so, like, afterwards, I walked away going, it's okay to be assertive about my food. And it always scares me because I'm like, what are they going to do in the kitchen if I'm assertive? But it worked out just fine.
Yep. And that's an example of like starting small. The other thing you can do is that it's okay to prepare ahead, right? Like, if you're
Yes.
going to say something to someone and it brings up the swirlies in your belly because you're practicing something new, like Christina and I just did that. I have a situation of something that I need to do, and it's something that I'm really uncomfortable doing, although I know I need to do it. So before we jumped on, I just said, hey, can we just have a moment? I just want to go back and forth in how I'm going to say this. I believe in what I'm saying. I
Hmm.
know I need to say it. I'm not responsible for what happens on the other side of the phone, but it's something I don't fortunately have to do often. So I just said, hey, Christina, can I have 30 seconds before we jump on? Can we go through this? So preparing ahead is okay and giving you
100%.
clarity of what you want. It's all good. So hopefully those can be some practical ways. Use your I statements. You can break up with the word you when you're practicing assertiveness. Use your I statements. Practice saying no. And that amazing gift Christina told us, it is a sentence all within itself. Pay
Yes.
attention to body language. Start small, whether it's a steak or you're returning something at the store. And friends,
Mm,
if you need to prepare ahead, just like I needed to do today, please give yourself permission with no shame and just do what you need to do. It's respect to yourself and it's offering how you want to show up when you do the thing that you need to do in the near future.
yeah.
There was a lot in this one. That's why I'm like, it's a
It's
repeat
so
episode.
good. It's so good. So here's our recap. Friends, here's our invitation to you. We are asking you to take a moment and ask yourself, where in your life do you need more assertiveness? And by that, we mean mutual respect in communication. Is it in your workplace? Maybe with a friend. perhaps with your family. This week, Helene and I are challenging you to choose one small act of assertiveness. Maybe it's saying no, maybe it's asking for help, or expressing your opinion. Remember, it's not about controlling others, it's about respecting yourself and respecting the person you're communicating with. Thank you so much for joining us. If this episode resonates with you, share it with others and remind them of their own power as well. Remember to follow us on all the social medias and turn in on Mondays where we do gifts from the couch. Until next week, friends, happy birthday.